Well, hi, everyone. Hey, thank you for joining me today on my Central Coast Market Update podcast. Super excited to bring this to you with a lot of good content, factual information. And today, for my first episode, I want to talk about the spring housing market and what it's looking like as we go through the spring and summer. And first of all, I'm going to talk about sales, how they're up, what that means, listing inventory, what that's doing, the interest rates, what that looks like, dabble that a little bit, and then what prices are doing across the market. So this information I bring to you, I know there's a lot of confusing information out there, media, social media, people talking about a recession, things going down, market crashing, which none of which is happening. But these stats and the information I'm bringing you are on average across the nation, and of course locally here with me, the local expert that way. But these experts and economists work with the National and the California Association of Realtors, and that's where I get my information for the national statistics. So real quick, before we get into the information, there's a lot of misinformation out there. You have different markets, different states, different cities. Real estate is not a one-size-fits-all. So understandably, they're between the media, social media, and then you hear somebody say in a different state or county, man, the market's really bad, things are going down. Somebody else might say, well, it's not so bad, it's kind of evening out. And I notice some of you are confused when you talk to me when I say, yeah, spring is really a good market here, I'm busy. And sometimes it's really confusing because it's so different. The markets are so different everywhere. So just want to clear that up before we get into the information here today. So sales are up from last year to this year at the same time, 27.5%. It's a really good marker of where we're going, and that spring is more robust than it was last year. It was a little bit lagging last year. This year sales are up. That means closed sales and properties that have gone into escrow. So that's all gone up percentage-wise. So very good sign. We're seeing more closed sales. Inventory. The inventory is one of the more important things here, as are interest rates, but inventory is up 12% across the nation, and certainly here in San Luis Obispo County. I'm seeing more listings come on the market. For instance, last year it was maybe 2, 3, and then there'd be 10. And any given day now, since then, there's at least 10, sometimes 22. It does go back to 5, maybe 10 in a day or so. But I'm seeing a lot more listings come on the market, and sellers are way more confident that with the interest rates stabilizing the way they are, more buyers are going to enter the market, and their listings won't stay on the market as long. So listings are up. That's good news for everybody. Buyers have more to choose from as well. Little competition's not bad for sellers either. That's a podcast for another day and a deep dive. So number 3 that I want to talk about, interest rates. Now, those have gone up and down, and I'm going to sit down with Zoe Rathel, who is the local lending expert, in my next podcast. Super good information there. She's going to go way more into interest rates and what affect them. As you all know, we peaked out at 8%. The interest rates have come down. They're 6.7, 6.8. There's a lot of factors that Zoe will go into and explain to you that way, but they've come down like that, and now they're not so squirrely as they were. They still can get squirrely, but buyers are more confident that they will start coming down regardless of the Feds. Feds will have their cuts. And as I always say, if everything stays the same, this is how it's going to be, right? So right now, the Feds have met. There might be a half interest rate cut. We'll see as time goes on. But there's not going to be 4 or 5 like was originally talked about in 2024. So the rate's stabilizing. More sellers are more confident there'll be more buyers. Buyers are more confident that they will refinance at this rate. Is a little bit high right now, and they know they can refinance to get a better rate in the future, like say in the next couple of years. Again, buyers will be able to refinance a couple of years down the line and get a better rate. Now, there is confusion sometimes that interest rates come down and so do the prices. And, not everybody understands how that works, but that is not the case. When interest rates come down, it helps a buyer with their mortgage payments and what their mortgage is going to be. Doesn't affect the price of property across the United States or anywhere else. Which brings me to my next subject in what I want to talk to you about is the prices and the price of property and what that's doing across the nation. So across the country, the prices have increased. They haven't gone down. And I'll tell you, since the last 2 years, really since COVID, and if you've been in your house anywhere from 4 to 5 years and up, the average homeowner that's been in their house at least 5 years has realized 300,000 in equity across the board. Now that's on average. Some will realize more, some will realize less. But if you've been in your house that long, you have this equity going on that is very helpful. So that means prices haven't gone down. They are going up. They're just not going up the way they were in this very fast and furious trajectory that they were. You know, you have the very hot market, and then things cool off and go down to a normal type market. Normal equity, maybe some of you know this or don't know this, normal equity in a normal real estate market is between 3 and 5%. So the trajectory is slower, but it's not going down. The prices are not going down. And lots of folks think they see price reductions, and people are talking about that, and they're going to wait till everything crashes. So it's never a good thing to wait on the housing market to crash, and that is something that is just not happening. It's not out there. In fact, I know everybody talks about 2008. That recession was terrible, awful. It was a whole different kind of entity. But certain markets, the Bay Area, New York, certain areas across the United States didn't experience a downturn in their prices. In fact, prices went up. So again, realizing that real estate is different everywhere, even in a recession like that. So that, unfortunately, for a lot of buyers, especially new first-time home buyers, those prices are going to still be a challenge because they're not coming down. So when a new home buyer gets into the market, you know, it's still going to pinch you a little bit on those prices. Now, sellers, you know, a little more competition, that's all good. I'm going to take a deeper dive into that too, but does not mean because more listings come on the market or that the prices are not coming down that you're not going to get the price for your house that you want. Your price is not headed in the downturn direction, okay? So there's a lot more information out there about that and a lot more factors that, again, in future podcasts, really going to take a deep dive into. So prices are moderating, not going down, no crashes in the forecast. Interest rates have stabilized, making everyone on each side, buyers and sellers, a little more confident in the market. Inventory has gone up. That's really good all the way around for everybody. In fact, a perfect example of that is I'm working with a couple of you buyers out there. We have 4 or 5 houses just last weekend, 4 or 5 houses to look at as opposed to one and then one in a couple of weeks. Inventory is really doing well. We're seeing a lot more come on the market, and then sales are up. 27.5% again across the board, across the United States and here in San Luis Obispo County. We have a very active market here in this county. We have a very desirable place to live. So we have that supply is low, demand is high. And on that note, I don't know that we'll ever have enough inventory for the demand that's out there. The new construction, that's taken a 7% dip because of the prices of lumber and all that goes into those homes. So again, we've had that slowdown in new construction, and we sorely need more housing. We have a lot of restrictions in San Luis Obispo County for that. And in California itself, we're so behind in California on new construction, I don't know that we'll ever catch up with that. Other states, they don't have quite that issue. But on the existing homes, sales are up, and it's all looking very good. So you have any questions about this content, let me know. If you want me to talk to you about value and maybe buying your home here in the next year or so, let me know. Have people I can hook you up with regards to lending, etc. And I really appreciate you joining me today. Stay tuned. You'll get notifications on my next podcast with Zoe Rathel. Great experienced lender. I think you'll find that content very interesting. So listen, I'll see you next time, and thanks so much.